Vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Hare,
Om
Hare
Namo
Rama,
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Haribol, thank you very much, George. So we are now going to continue our reading. Who is our first reader? Mr. Pravin Bang. Would you like to read, Mr. Pravin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Text, that will be text 62, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so before we start, during our last class of Gita, somebody asked a question about anger, and this is the exact text. This one and the next one explains
Yes.
that further, which you have already explained.
Yes, that is true.
Text 62, translation.
Mhm.
While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Purport. One who is not Krishna conscious is subjected to material desires while contemplating the objects of senses.
Mhm.
The senses require real engagements, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism. In the material world, everyone, including Lord Shiv and Lord Brahma, to say nothing of other demigods in the heavenly planets, is subjected to the influence of sense objects. And the only method to get out of the puzzle of material existence is to become Krishna conscious. Lord Shiv was deep in meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed to the proposal, and as a result, Kartikeya was born. When Haridas Thakur was a young devotee of the Lord, he was similarly allured by the incarnation of Maya Devi. But Haridas easily passed the test because of his unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. As illustrated in the above mentioned verse of Sri Yamunacharya, a sincere devotee of the Lord shuns all material sense enjoyment due to his higher taste for spiritual enjoyment in the association of the Lord. That is the secret success. One who is not therefore in Krishna consciousness, however powerful he may be in controlling the senses by artificial repression, is sure ultimately to fail, for the slightest thought of sense pleasure will agitate him to gratify his desires.
You know
Haribol.
what? You continue reading the second part.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
Text 33, translation. From anger, delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. Purport. By development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So, after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam. Thus, everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotee rejects it as a material. The impersonalist, therefore, cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason, a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you very much, Mr. Pravin. So it's very clear here, you know, what makes us angry. A person, becomes angry um, for for some reason, right? And usually they say it is because of you. That's why I'm angry. So he's pointing fingers at others, etc., like that. I'm angry, or sometimes they say, uh, oh, God did not fulfill my desires. That's why I'm angry, like this. Um, but they don't know that anger really comes from lust. It really comes from lust. If a person is always angry to the person around him or angry to the world, sometimes people are just angry. A slight provocation makes them angry. They shout, they loathe, etc. Yeah, but what makes them angry is really lust, according to Bhagavad Gita. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachments for them. So it starts off with contemplation of the senses. You contemplate. You look at people, or you look at objects, sensual objects in the world, and you contemplate. Wow, this is really really yummy, like that. You start playing those things in your mind. It is contemplating. Because of contemplation, a person develops attachment. He begins to get attached. He begins to get attached. Now, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachments, lust develops. Kakaroon po ng pagnanasa. In Tagalog, it is called pagnanasa, lust in their hearts. And when they have lust in their hearts, any unfulfilled desire that they may have makes them angry. So where is it coming from? It's coming from lust. That came from contemplation of the senses. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita it is stated that one must curtail. Immediately, if a person becomes attached to something, he must refocus that attachment to Krishna, instead of falling into the quagmire of attachments. There is no problem with attachment, because you can refocus that to Krishna. But because people are not trained to do this, they're not trained to focusing their consciousness onto God. What happens is that that attachment that attachment will turn into lust. Yeah, but when it turns into lust, anger arises. Hmm. Sometimes people will say, sometimes people will tell us, don't be angry, don't be so angry, because you know where it is coming from? It's coming from your lust. And they say, no, I'm angry. I'm really just angry, like this. Sometimes people are so are so foolish, that they think that anger just arose from the air and and made them angry. They don't know that it's really coming from a source. That source is lust. And each of one here, we know that. We know that, unfulfilled desires make us angry. Things that we think that we can control, but because we're not the supreme controller, right? So we can't control things. There are times that we cannot control things or events or happenings. Yeah. And then we get angry. We shout, we lose our minds like that. Sometimes from a very, very small things only a person kills. I remember a long time ago, just because of 25 centavos, 25 cents. Yeah. Somebody killed somebody because of that. Why? Because in anger, when you are covered with anger, you cannot think properly. You cannot. You think that that person is the source or the cause of my anger. Therefore, I'm going to punish him. Yeah. Up to the point of killing him. Imagine that. But these things are happening in the world. And, you may probably ask why. Uh, why do we fall into the act of anger to the point of killing somebody? Yeah. It is, according to the Bhagavad Gita, lust. When anger arises, delusionment of memory. The memory becomes foggy. You have what is known as a brain fog or mind fog. You can hardly even think properly. And after the delusionment of memory is bewildered. It is a step-by-step thing, from attachment, from contemplation of the senses, and then attachment, and then lust, and then anger, and then delusionment of memory, and then bewilderment of memory, and then after bewilderment of memory, intelligence becomes lost. Intelligence is lost. So that's why a person may do things that he will that the person may um, the person may at the after doing that, he feels so guilt stricken. He feels so guilt stricken and tells himself, "Why did I do that? Why?" You know, it started off with contemplation, and that it ended up with a person falling into the pool of material existence. It is described here that even Lord Shiva fell into this lust when Parvati came to him and you know uh, and she asked for some favor sexually. He fell into the lust, into this lust, and thus Kartikeya was born because of this. But we also see another example of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was a great devotee of Krishna. He was considered to be the spiritual master of the holy names. Yeah. And when these prostitutes came over to agitate him, this prostitute is actually the personification of Maya herself, the personification of Maya herself. And, she was showing parts of her body uh, when she arrived there um, in the cave where Haridas Thakur was staying. Haridas did not react. He just continued chanting. He was when the prostitute came and wanted to have sex with him, he just continued chanting. And then he said, "You know what? Why don't you just sit down there? After I finish my chanting, I'm going to satisfy you. Yeah, I'm going to satisfy you. Just sit down." So she waited until she heard um, until morning, and usually dawn, and then the sun rises up. Sexual desires diminish. So her sexual desires actually diminished when the sun came out in the horizon. So he said, she said, "Excuse me, my dear Haridas, but I have to go now." And she said, "Can I come back tonight?" And Haridas Thakur said, because Haridas Thakur's love for everyone is unconditional. He wanted to actually, he wanted to actually save that that prostitute. He said, "Okay, come back tonight. Come back tonight." So this prostitute again the following night, she wore lipstick. She wore all kinds of makeup, making her really, really beautiful. Again, he went there, and Haridas Thakur was chanting on his beads, and then he said, "I'm not yet through with my chanting. Remember, you know, Haridas Thakur was chanting 128 rounds on his beads, 128 rounds per day." While most of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada would chant 14, 16 rounds a day, he was chanting 128 rounds on his 108 beats. So that's why, sometimes especially if he did something in the daytime, it takes him up to nighttime to finish his chanting, yeah, and even up to the wee hours of the morning. And then he again said, "Sit down, I'm not yet finished with my rounds. As soon as I finish with my chanting, I will satisfy you." So morning came back, and and the prostitute again, pakipatay yung ano yun. Okay, thank you. So the third night, she went back, but because she was hearing the holy names of Krishna for 2 nights, she was always hearing. Although she was not chanting, she was always hearing the the, the holy names of Krishna from the mouth of a pure devotee. Remember, Haridas Thakur was a pure devotee. Yeah, was a pure devotee of Krishna. And it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam that a person's heart can change from being a lover of Mammon to a lover of God simply by hearing chanting coming from the mouth of a pure devotee of Krishna. So the third night, you know what she did? She wore a very simple clothes. But because she was still instructed by this Kazi, yeah, or the governor to uh, entrap Haridas Thakur. She still went there, hoping that maybe on this third night, Haridas Thakur would satisfy me. So on the third night, she went there, and what happened was the same thing. Just sit down, relax, yeah, while I'm chanting like this. When I finish my rounds, I will satisfy him. So he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama. Was chanting like this. The prostitute was was simply hearing and was already appreciating the holy names. She was hearing at the same time she was appreciating it already. Yeah, and then in the middle of the chant, she fell onto the ground, prostrated in front of her Haridas Thakur, and cried tears of repentance. He actually uh, told Haridas Thakur that, I did not come here of my own. I came here because I was paid to do this. I'm a prostitute, and you know, I thought that you're going to fall onto my beauty, etc. And please forgive me, Haridas Thakur. You know, please tell me what to do like this. And Haridas Thakur actually, his beads. He want to get another beads and put the beads on her neck like this. You know what? You should chant the holy names of Krishna. And then she felt that her wishes, her desires were totally fulfilled. So really, Haridas Thakur wanted to fulfill her desires, and alas, her desires were fulfilled by the sound of the holy names of Krishna uttered by a pure devotee. So this is the difference. The difference is that if you are totally surrendered unto Krishna, it is described in the Bhagavad Gita, by the grace of the spiritual master in Krishna, you will not fall into the trap of lust. So how about I'm a householder, uh, and it is my duty to satisfy my wife, for instance, like this. Um, that is another story. Okay, that is another story, because you are doing that surrender to Krishna. You actually want to engage in this activity, in sexual activity, uh, have to have Krishna conscious children. You're not doing this out of your own sexual pleasure. You're doing it because you want to raise Krishna conscious children. So that is totally different. Okay, so anybody whom you see are angry, it's not coming from it's not coming from the air, or coming from outside, etc. You try to uh, blame it on others, etc. But actually, it's coming from my own desires, from my own lusty desires. Once it comes from my lusty desires, ang kinahantunan nun is anger. Because lust unfulfilled becomes anger. Okay? So we continue our reading. Who wants to read? Sharni, would you like to read, Sharni?
Haribol, sir. Haribol, everyone.
Haribol.
Text 64. Translation. One who can control... Tama po ba, sir? 64?
Tama.
Thank you, sir. One who can control his senses by practicing the regulated principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord and thus become free from all attachment and aversion. Purport. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process, but unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, and there is every chance of a fall. Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane because of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable, and if Krishna does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to the sensual platform.
Haribol.
Very well. Thank you, sir.
Haribol, thank you very much, Sharni. So again, materialists would try to control their senses artificially. There is this religious group. It's under the Catholic faith, and the way they try to control their senses is mutilation of the flesh. In other words, they they hurt themselves, so they're full of desires. So what they do is they hurt themselves, they try to tie their thighs with some rope or something, and then make it really really tight, so that instead of them thinking of sexual desires, their mind goes to the pain, like this. So then, in that by that sort of manner, they say that they can control their senses. But this is part of the so-called artificial means to control the senses. Because once the pain uh, goes down, you are not going to do that for the rest of the evening. Yeah. So once they untie it, when they untie that rope, sexual desires come in, crawling in their minds again. So it's actually very superficial type of way of trying to control your senses. Some would meditate and think of nothing. Their mind is full of full of thoughts, and most of the time it's sexual thoughts in their mind. So they try to um, negate these thoughts, by meditating onto a certain dot or to a certain light to forget those thoughts. But the problem is because, again, it is an artificial means or artificial way to control their senses or their sensual desires. It just comes back with a vengeance. It comes back with a vengeance. And therefore, they fall again into the pool of material existence. So this artificial means to control the senses is not recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. What is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita is to chant the holy names of Krishna. That is the recommendation. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vishnu. To always chant the holy names of Krishna, because by chanting the holy names of Krishna, one gets purified. Yeah. It internally cleanses your heart, internally cleanses your mind and consciousness. And because it cleanses the mind, you're able to actually feel a sense of fulfillment, real fulfillment. Why? Because you are actually experiencing internal happiness, bliss, internal pleasure. Because that pleasure, that happiness is actually superior than material so-called happiness, then you're able to give it up. A person is able to give up uh, the taste of material happiness, material sensual pleasure, when he is able to taste something higher than material pleasure, and that something higher than material pleasure is actually the names of Krishna, is actually his relationship with the Supreme Lord. When he has that, when he is able to have a relationship, a loving relationship with Krishna, he is always satisfied. He is always satisfied. He doesn't go out and try to artificially, artificially try to maneuver his way into material sensual pleasure. He doesn't do that because he loses attraction to that. He loses attraction. It may be there, it passes, because the thoughts, you cannot stop thoughts. You cannot negate the mind. The mind is an ever-flowing thoughts. It is still there, but it doesn't affect you anymore because there is a higher taste and also a transformation of the heart from being attached to the sensual pleasures of this world to attachment to God, attachment to Krishna. That's why for devotees, they're able to do this. So sometimes, we pray to Krishna, Krishna, when shall I be able to like cry upon just chanting your holy names? When shall that day be? Because that is my desire, to always chant, to always have a relationship with you. That is the consciousness of a devotee of Krishna. And Krishna saves his devotee like this. You're not doing it alone. Remember, when you try to artificially control uh, the um, the senses, control the desires of the senses, you're doing it upon your own strength, and it's not very effective. Uh, in fact, it is always a failure when you're just dealing with your own strength. But a devotee of Krishna doesn't do it with his own strength. He calls on to Krishna's names. He calls on to Krishna's to Krishna's mercy and blessing. And Krishna blesses devotee by giving him or showering to him this strength, spiritual strength. So that's why Haridas Thakur was able to give it up compared to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is also, he's a very powerful demigod, but nobody in the three worlds uh, can escape the power of Maya. The power of Maya is always there. Once you fall into the material existence, the power of Maya becomes so strong. Okay? Next reader, please. Alinette, would you like to read?
Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol Namaste. 66?
65. 65.
65.
Mm.
For one who is thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. 66, text 66. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Unless one
Yeah.
is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter, 5:29, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance, that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, and that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only one can have real peace. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal, and when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Alinette. So, again, the only way for a person to actually obtain peace and harmony in his life is to become Krishna conscious or God conscious. One may probably say, "Sir, is what about other religions? Can I attain peace when I try to have a relationship with God?" Yes, we're not saying that you should only pray to Krishna. Krishna has millions and millions of names. you know, a person can cultivate his loving relationship with God, regardless of what name or names he wants to use. Yeah. So once you have a deep connection with God like this, and then automatically you will be able to actually achieve peace and harmony in life. Only a person who is God conscious can achieve peace and harmony. Without Krishna, without God, you cannot. You cannot achieve peace and harmony. If if peace is absent, you cannot achieve happiness. Happiness means that you are actually feeling secured, that you are actually very peaceful. Without peace, you cannot have happiness. So, the only way for a person to truly be satisfied, to truly be uh, um, experiencing total freedom and total peace, is by chanting the holy names of Krishna, engaging in devotional service, cultivating one's loving relationship with Krishna. Yeah, once he does that, then automatically his life is successful. Automatically, that's automatic, because Krishna uh, guides his devotees, saves his devotees, protects his devotees. So it's not all about your own strength. It's not about your solo journey towards peace and harmony and happiness in this world, but in fact, it is actually Krishna who gives us all this strength, gives us all this blessing, yeah, and mercy and strength. It is actually Krishna, because Krishna is situated in our hearts. He is the heart of all the hearts. He understands our deep rooted intentions in life. He understands that. So we cannot fool Krishna by saying, Krishna, I love you. I love you. I surrender to you. But in fact, you know, at the back of your mind, you're so attached to material sensual objects. We cannot, because he is the heart of our hearts. He knows exactly our inner desires, our inner intentions in life. He sees that. And when a person comes to the point of surrendering to Krishna, crying tears of repentance like this, Krishna lovingly touches you. And if you're a devotee, you actually can feel his presence. You actually experiences the protection of Krishna. There was one, I'll give you an example of a devotee. Yeah. Just recently, about 6 months ago, she was telling me about her ordeal. Her ordeal, yeah. She was having some family problems with her husband, etc. Yeah. And so she thought of the idea, like, if my husband is playing around, if he can do that, I can do that as well. That is how Maya operates. So Maya becomes very, very difficult to control when you think like this. I'm going to like have a revenge. If he can do it, I can do it. I can do it as well. You know what happened? He was able to befriend a certain guy, and she tried to play around with it. She tried to play around with it. Meet me at this hotel, etc., like that. And uh, so, in fact, what happened was that they checked in this hotel. So I was just listening. I was just listening because I can see that she's actually she's actually suffering. She's actually full of guilt. They met into this hotel, but while in the hotel, she was chanting Krishna's name. She was calling on to Krishna, 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 please save me. Please save me on this one. Yeah. Believe it or not, she was able to pass that test. The guy was full of lust. The guy was full of, ready to devour her like that. But because she was crying inside, Krishna, I don't want to do this, but I'm just forced to do this. It's actually lust. Lust is like that. You don't want to do things, but you are forced to do this. In fact, Arjuna's question to Krishna in regard to lust was, Krishna, what is that force? That inner force that makes me do things when in fact I don't want to do that thing. And Krishna says, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is the all devouring enemy of man. So it is lust. Just lust lang talaga yun eh. So she came down crying, and it's good that she was with a friend, but that friend of hers was just staying in the lobby, and she told her friend, "Let's go. I can't do this. I can't do this." That is the power of the holy names of Krishna. And I told her, "Don't do it again, because you may not know how powerful also is Maya. Maya is very, very powerful. Maya can make it so that you will do things when you do that can make you do things that you probably think that this is okay to do this. She can make it like that. She will make you do things without you even knowing it. You're doing it already. Yeah. So I said, don't play around with Maya, because you cannot defeat Maya with your own strength. Maya is very powerful. She is the illusory energy of God, the illusory energy of Krishna. In other words, if you want to defeat Maya, it's like defeating God. It's like defeating Krishna, because that is the uh, that is the service of Maya to uh, make us fall onto our knees, to make us confused, to make us think that yes, this is real pleasure, to look at material pleasures as real pleasure. Yeah, that is the duty of Maya. In other words, when you're chanting the holy names of Krishna, you also pray to Maya, because she is a devotee of Krishna, a pure devotee of Krishna. Maya, I know that I cannot defeat you. You're very powerful. But I know that when you see my heart really just wants to serve Krishna. But I am so weak. I am so weak. Please, uh, also give me strength to not fall on you. So simultaneously, you're praying to Krishna to give you internal or spiritual strength, but you can also pray to Maya like this. Okay, guys, let's stop here. We are going to continue our reading and discussion next Saturday. This is actually becoming very interesting. Huh? What do you think? Because this is real life experiences. Hmm? What do you think, Mr. Praveen?
Yes, sir. It is very much this whole chapter, no? Chapter 2
Chapter
is,
2.
what do I say that? It is like a guiding principle for life, and the whole Gita itself. Of course, I love Gita so much. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Mm.
nobody can argue with me about that. That, oh, it is not good, or this is all whatever it is. But I love this, particularly this chapter, this one, and the last one, 18, because in our last class we already finished that chapter 18 in my last class with you.
Yes.
So these are the fantastic. I mean, the whole Gita is fantastic for that matter.
Yeah.
But these are the really principles of life, the how you live your life. And I strongly believe that you should learn this when you are the child, when 5, 6 years old, like that.
Yeah.
But still, it
You
is.
know,
I mean, even though I learned something, not all, but it is still. I very strongly recommend.
yes. And that's why when you're a householder, you must give classes to your children on Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
remember I actually have 7 children. When I had just 5 children, a long time ago, I used to give them classes on Bhagavad Gita. And they still remember until now. They're so grown ups already. They have their own children, but they they still remember those classes. And I tell them, I tell them that you should also do the same with your family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
because it builds strength, inner strength in our hearts, and it makes us stronger in life, um, because we are able to see the reality of the material world and the reality of Krishna's presence. Yeah, the only reason why we're able to give up the so-called material pleasures is because of Krishna. Because Krishna is the reservoir of pleasure and happiness. Everything, every happiness, bliss, a joy that we feel in our hearts comes from Krishna. Yeah. So that's why we're able to give it up because of Krishna's presence. Okay. And Bhagavad Gita is not different from Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna himself because these are the very words of Krishna when he was talking to Arjuna. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir. In my I do not say the whole people in the country, but the people at least who I am familiar with and those things, they always say that people will complain, oh, I don't have a time to read and how like that. So they say that forget that one slok meaning one text.
one
You read
sloka.
one text.
Mm,
That itself will start. You start it. It will
mm,
immediately, you will. I mean, this kind of addiction, so to speak.
mm,
So it is a what you call it. It is a affection and good for good. It is the other way
mm,
around of like
mm.
what you have that those drugs and those things. It is a
Yeah.
different addiction and this is a different addiction. Like that, they will say that. They
Mm,
say that.
yeah. Well, it takes a while to change one's heart from being a lover of mammon to a lover of God, because while we have had hundreds and thousands or even millions of lifetimes in the past, all of those lifetimes, the central enjoying agent is you. I, me, mine. I, me, mine. You imagine that. You imagine that. Every time you come to this world, you are the center. And immediately in this lifetime, there is a change of focus. You're not the center anymore. Krishna is the center. He is the supreme enjoyer. And I am here to serve him. It is a very difficult task to immediately change consciousness like this. But as I've said, it's not within our strength to be able to come to that point. Krishna helps us. Krishna saves his devotees. Yeah, so we must always thank Krishna. You know, uh, say prayer of gratitude to Krishna that he is in our life right now, and you don't have any intention to uh, stay away from Krishna ever again. Okay, Elinette, would you like to do the kirtan? Gitara ka ba dyan?
Haribol, Haribol. Yes po.
Okay,
Krishna,
Haribo.
Krishna.
Mm.
Krishna. Naririnig pa.
Yes, nadidinig.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Mate Siddha Swarupa Nanda Paramahamsa Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Vimate Siddha Swarupa Nanda Paramahamsa Namine Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthayate Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Haribol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hare Bol, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Haribol, Haribol. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Elinet, for the exit kirtan. Beautiful. So I would like to thank my assistant, George, his family, Mina and Kalkidas, for uh, being my co-host for this morning. Thank you very much. By the way, let's all pray for the speedy recovery of Pinky. Pinky is still sick. You know, she's still recuperating from her illness. So let's give a little time to pray for her. Okay. Thank you very much. And uh, uh, Alinet and family, maraming salamat sa kirtan mo.
Thank you rin po, Haribol.
Okay. Oh. And the Zamboanga devotees, thank you very much, guys. Haribol, namaste. Jai Krishna. Haribol, namaste. Hmm. Sino si Emiliano Carion? Diyan din yun, di ba? Zamboanga rin yan, Emiliano. Okay. Sharni, thank you very much for coming.
Haribol, namaste. Thank you din, sir. Do we have Q&A, sir?
Tomorrow, yes. We have Q&A tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay
Noted.
naman. Yung Paulo naman umalis na eh. So it's not that rainy. But last night it was very, very hard rain. But right now, wala na. Ma'am Ines, thank you very much for coming.
Haribol, namaste po, sir. Thank you po.
Haribol, namaste. Ayun, si Emiliana Carion. Wala ka ba doon sa
Simbahan. Wala siya,
Simba-
sir.
sa bahay ka ngayon? Okay. All right. Thank you for coming. And last but not the least, of course, Ma'am Ines, thank you very much, Ma'am Ines.
Thank you po, sir. Haribol.
Haribol. And last but not the least, Mr. Pravin. Thank you very much, Mr. Pravin.
Maraming salamat po.
Walang anuman, Mr. Pravin. Yeah, have a great Saturday ahead of you. And I'll see you tomorrow sa question and answer. We have question and answer tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. If you wish to attend that, that's very, very nice to attend. Okay? The same ano lang yan, the same link. Okay, guys? Thank you very much. Jaya Krishna, Jaya Nitai Gaur, Haribol, Haribol.